I am coming to terms with my human condition. All of this time spent trying to look for answers guided me to discover deeper grounds on what I think I am. It unveiled desires and hurts, and it especially had me believing that I was about to find the answer anytime I found something new. I may make the mistake now in thinking that now that I found that very likely what's holding me back is simply a mental condition that is affecting the normal functionality of my brain. The enemy seems that much easier to battle with. It's very distinct and difficult if the enemy is that version of yourself you want to get rid of. You're basically trying to kill your old self while still living in his body. How do you come up with habits and justifications for effort if you deep down know that one day it will all go downhill? Worse off, it will go downhill because you allowed it to, because you're mentally weak. That is why seeking mental strength was so important to me. I may be precipitating to misdiagnose myself now, and it won't be until August that we finally discover what's exactly going on or what exactly is going to happen. I can still apply the principles of the card that I learned yesterday to my own perception of what's happening. I'm going to assume that I am being deceived by my phenomenological experience, that I may feel like I am a lazy person, that I am undisciplined, like I can't be consistent, like I'm mentally weak. But it turns out that, well, maybe I may be the exact opposite of that. And I will never know because my senses are not designed to look at reality for what it is. I may think that this keyboard I'm using, or the microphone in this case, is made out of aluminium and plastic, but I've learned that if I look closer to it, it is really just made out of protons and electrons. I can't feel them, but they are supposedly there. And to make it worse, they may exist and not exist at the same time. I may think that the keyboard or the microphone is there, but maybe it's only there if I think it's there. Yet it does feel coherent to say that it is. So it wouldn't be crazy to assume that, in fact, I do have persistent depressive disorder, and that the reason why I have been struggling for so many years is that I'm sick, not that I'm weak or that I'm undisciplined. And this change in perspective changes everything. Just like knowing the atoms that make this keyboard or the microphone and the atoms that make my hands are different from each other based on the numbers of particles inside them, but fundamentally are made out of the same things. The more I know about the underlying principles of the universe, the more I can play with the possibilities. Because now I know that I have my own version of epilepsy and that I can treat it on my own. That I can do things that can improve my chances of it getting better, but if I don't seek for help, I won't be able to solve. This is the ultimate thing out of my control. The ultimate showdown of how, wow, I may not have free will, I still get to choose how I perceive my reality. Looking back then, I see a guy that, while having chronic depression, has written 106,000 words in this diary since August of last year. I see a guy that was capable of significant movements in his life, of making an impact on other people's lives, in spite of his sickness. I see a guy that knows what he wants, and it's only being held back by one thing: his lack of trust in himself. I see many people in my life look up to me, that see me and think that I have it all put together. I always thought that they were naive and that they didn't know me at all. Turns out they weren't that wrong after all. Just like body dysmorphia, I had this very damaged perception of myself. It was tinted by the same grayscale that my depression paints off anytime I feel down, and that whenever it's turned off feels so melodramatic. Turns out people are not that far after all. I am pretty awesome. It's not pedantic to say so, it's just, it no longer feels like that. I've been carrying a big weight on my back and I can finally let it go and accept my calling. It would be illogical to continue distrusting my ability to push against this because factually, I have never stopped. Now I think I can get to know my demon, and I can look at it in the eye and tell it, not today.